Hello everybody, and welcome to Independent Art Storytime. For the whole of December we've been reading John Masefield's Box of Delights, and we have 3 sections left. Today I'm going to read Chapter 11, Part 2. Once again, just a reminder that the next 3 bits are a little bit longer than previously because we're getting right to the denouement of the story. So here we go. For a quick recap, Kay is down in the caverns beneath the Chester Hills College, following Abner Brown, who has sent magic and mystery out to stop anyone attending the cathedral on Christmas Eve. Although Kay is down there, he's also discovered where all the captives are being held, and he's worried for everyone's life, including his own, as he's fearful that Abner knows that he has the box. Kay had no time to consider these questions, for Abner strode swiftly out of the room. Kay had to follow him at once to avoid being shut in. Abner moved so swiftly to the left that Kay lost touch with him, and following on as fast as he could, he heard something which made his heart leap. "So, Miss Caroline Louisa," Abner was saying, in some dark den in the rock. "You would not tell me about the box, though you must know about it. Now you may like to know that it is on its way to me, and nothing can stop it coming to me. Once before you stood in my way, and were the cause of great trouble to me and mine, and I promised then that I would be even with you, and I'm going to be even with you, never fear, quite soon. Even as water can make me, for water when released finds its own level, they say, and this time I shall pay off all our old scores. Goodbye." Caroline Louisa did not answer, but Kay heard her cough, and I knew she was in there. Abner came striding past Kay, and there came a sudden noise of a door rolling in a groove in the cave that suddenly became bright with light. Kay saw that a door in the rock had slid back, and beyond it a curious motor car, thickly sprinkled with snow, was being opened by masked men, who dragged from it 2 figures whose arms and legs were lashed and whose heads were in felt bags. "Ah," Abner said, "the Tatchester trustees, I presume, working no doubt double time like good friends of the cathedral to find clergy for the services. Excellent work, but it must be interrupted for the time. First action, then contemplation. Remove them to the cells, but stay one moment. It's snowing, I perceive." "Snowing?" one of the masks said. "You've said it. I never knew anything like it. It came on all of a sudden. So blind I thought we'd never get through." "Nice, seasonable Christmas weather," Abner said. "A white Christmas, eh? Well, remove them." After the 2 men had been dragged away into the darkness of the corridor, Abner went to a recess where there was something which looked like a typewriter let into the rock. He touched some of the keys of this and then spoke into a mouthpiece. "Is this the Tatchester Evening News?" he asked. "The news and associated papers?" "Father Bottledale speaking. I wish to give a message to your evening edition. Perhaps you could make it a special edition. There need be no alarm whatever about the services in Tatchester Cathedral. Got that? Even if none of the missing clergy be restored in time, it will be possible for my organisation to supply all the services with qualified clergy." "You can print a special edition to that effect at once, can you? Actually have the copies in the streets in half an hour, can you? Splendid. Let there be no anxiety whatsoever. And you will acquaint the London evening papers, will you? That's all arranged?" "Yes. Father Bottledale of the Ecclesiastical Training Centre will see that services are supplied, although there can be little doubt that the practical jokers, for such they must be, will relent in time. Thank you so much. And will you allow me to wish you the very happiest of Christmases and New Year? Are you running any particular Christmas charity for the old or sick or poor? You will allow me to put my name down for £25. Father Bottledale. Yes, Boddle. Yeah, thank you. A most happy Christmas. Thank you." And add that Father Bottledale wishes the good people of Tatchester a most happy Christmas and New Year. Yeah, thank you. And he closed the recess and moved away. Kay saw a happy smile upon his features. In deep thought, Abner moved along the rock gallery. Kay followed with some difficulty, for this gallery was badly lit. Kay heard a continual murmur of water falling, and presently he judged that this noise was not from falling water, but from violent sobbing and lamenting. When they came near to the noise, Abner turned on a light, and Kay could see an iron cage, at the bars of which were pressed some white faces, whose haggard dark eyes made black patches on the flesh. "Ah," Abner said, "my vocal and orchestral friends from Tatchester, the choir, I think? And is our cocoa as you like it? And do you admire our brand of bun? Now listen to me, boys. There's something very disgusting to me in the indistinguished grief of boys who do not carry handkerchiefs and use the backs of their hands. Stop snivelling, you little beasts. Do I see Dr. Blowpipe, the famous organist? Now then, tell me, you, Dr. Blowpipe, and you, organist assistants, and you, members of the Tatchester choir, which of you has the box of delights, and where is it?" Dr. Blowpipe and some of the elder members of the choir asked him what on earth he meant. "You know quite well what I mean," Abner said. "Where is it? Where is Cole Hawling's box of delights?" And all repeated they knew nothing whatever about any box. They protested against their imprisonment and asked to be set free at once. "Very well," Abner said, "you have had your chance. Then your blood will be on your own hands. You are doomed. Tonight there will be no more choir boy, no more tenor, no baritone, nor bass, nor Dr. Blowpipe. Somebody else will play the Requiem in D minor, and very soon, because little Abner will turn on the tap and let the water in." He paused and then added, "Midnight will soon strike on the cathedral clock, and there will be no service in the cathedral. No, for the cathedral staff will be rolling. Whereath the sacred river swishes with organist and boys and bishes down to a sunless sea. The box is coming to me, let me tell you. I shall turn on the taps, let me tell you, and you'd better turn off your taps, let me tell you, for you will have water enough when that happens." He walked away, followed by threats from Dr. Blowpipe and cries from the baritones and basses. "You let us out of here, my joker. This has gone far enough." There were piteous wails from the choir boys. "Oh, please, sir, do let me go home. Oh, sir, please have mercy." The voices and crying died as Abner sped swiftly into the recesses of the cavern. Kay followed as quickly as he could. Abner, who knew the way, walked by the aid of a torch, which he flashed from time to time. Kay, on his tiny feet, had to hurry as best as he could after the occasional flashes. Sometimes he fell into some pit on the floor and bumped himself. Sometimes he ran into a projecting stone and bruised himself, and he felt the full misery of being tiny. From time to time, he thought, if there should be a cat anywhere down in these cellars, I shall be pounced upon and done for. Presently Abner turned on a permanent light, and Kay could see that they were in a broad gallery, in the side of which, backed against the rock, was a cage of strong iron bars raised a little from the floor, and in the midst of that cage, heavenly chained, was old Cole Hawlings. Abner walked up within a few feet of the bars. "Master Cole," he said, "or Master Lully? Great master, the time has come for us to speak together. You are so beset by my power that you can never escape from here without my leave. I come to tell you that the box is now on its way to me, and nothing can stop it coming. Once, long ago, you walked from Spain to Italy to buy the box with your elixir of life, and I will sell you the box for the elixir. Will you deal?" "No," Cole said, "because you are a greedy scoundrel unfit to have a long life." "I will repeat the offer once more," Abner said, "but only once. After that you will see." As he turned away up the gallery, Kay, seizing a shoelace, swung himself into the fold of Abner's upturned trouser, so he may not be left behind. He was so light that Abner didn't feel him scrambling there, but walked swiftly on, and Kay found his perch pleasanter than walking had been, but still a slightly giddy way of travelling. Hanging within the fold of cloth, he was tossed and banged by the rapid going until Abner stopped, unlocked a strong room and entered it and shut it behind him. It was a stronger room than any Kay had thought possible. No sound of any sort came within it. The walls might have been more than a foot thick of solid iron. It was brightly lit. It was about 9 feet high and 12 feet across, and on one side there was a small sofa with cushions. On the other side there was a table on which stood an open iron deed box, and a chair was near the table. On the walls opposite were shelves holding iron deed boxes labelled with the capital letters R, E, P, S, D, etc., etc., and Abner went to the table and burrowed in the open box. "Yes," he said, "we have done not badly with our little ventures, not badly at all. When the box comes, I can sail with these to my quiet island. Raymond Lully will see my wisdom. He will grant me the elixir before I go. But I must have a look at these once more." He felt at the door to make sure it was closed. "Strange," he muttered. "Once before, when I had my hand on a great treasure, that little boy, Kate Harker, upset my schemes. And why should he come into my mind now? He'd better not come into my presence." At this, he produced from his hip pocket a pistol, which he put on the table beside him, and Kay slipped from the trouser end to the floor where he could watch. Abner opened one of the boxes in the deed box. "Ah, the Duke's rubies," he said. "The setting is rather coarse. Those Victorians were heavy in the hand, but they are a rare crimson, worth 30,000 if they're worth a penny. And these, those emerald, 20,000. And these are pearls. We've done well in pearls, and they are very light to carry. Fashionable things, pearls. Liver disease in the oyster, I understand, but ladies don't know that. Ah, this was the Countess's that there was such a fuss about, and this was Mrs. Julius K. whatever her name was, who offered a big reward. And this was the dancer's, a very foolish young woman if I'm any judge, 94,003. That shows you what love will do. And then these ones, anything up to 50,000 these, and these are my sapphires, blue and yellow, my favourite stone." And Kay saw him turn out a little bag of sapphires onto the table. "Ah, I could never part with these," he muttered. "There is something about this blue and this yellow which why anyone should prefer other stones I cannot think. But now for the real box, the rich box." And as Kay watched him open a silver jewel box which contained what looked like rolls of brown paper, he unrolled some of these, and Kay could see the glitter of pendants, necklaces, coronets, and stars of glittering diamonds, and Abner chuckled as he played with them all. "All the clever jewel thieves in this world," he muttered, "have worked for little Abner getting these. And then those stones from the mines that the kind black men kept for little Abner. What a lot of burglars have had an anxious night so that little Abner might have his quiet island. Dear, dear, and where are the burglars now? Boxed up in iron bars and granite, most of them. Well, they meet their friends there, and they have time for thought. There must be a matter of 300,000 in this little box alone. I shall retire. It's enough, even for me." "Strange," he said. "Strange that the little mildew of a boy is in my thoughts the whole time. The trouble with me is that I've been doing too much in these last anxious days. I've had no proper rest. It's wearing as a war, this kind of thing. I think I'll take a nap. That will do me good." And Kay saw him slip off his shoes, take off his coat, and lie down upon the sofa, settle the coats over his toes, shake the pillows a little, and fall instantly asleep. And there Kay was, shut up in the strong room for what seemed like hours while Abner slept. "What shall I do?" Kay thought. "Shall I go home and tell the Lord Lieutenant or the Colonel of the Thatcher Regiment that there isn't a moment to lose? No, of course not. I know what I'll do. I'll go to Caroline Louisa and ask her advice." He only had to twirl the knob and speak his wish to be whirled into the corridor where she was prisoner. But here he found himself beset by magic. He called, but she did not hear. He groped, but he could not find the prison. Heavy felt blankets came in his way, tripped him up and baffled him. and besides, those horrible little aeroplanes with snouts like wolves came snapping at him, and he was soon glad to wish himself back into Abner's strong room, where he found Abner just waking from his nap, and he was growling as he woke that he would soon teach them. Kay realised suddenly that, tiny as he was, his suit of grey was very conspicuous against the red carpet. "If I'm not careful," he thought to himself, "I will be seen." Abner rolled over towards him and opened his eyes and then rubbed them, and Kay pressed back towards the wall and lay down along the edge of the carpet. And Abner sat up, slipped on his shoes and put on his coat and rose and stretched himself. "Ugh," he said, "a very snug little snooze. Now let me see. Of course. The first thing is this boodle. I've packed most of it, and there's nothing like going over things the second time. I may have left something." He looked down at his watch. "I have had a sleep," he said. "Come on now." He took the deed box from the table and laid it on the floor close to Kay, and then he knelt down and unpacked its contents. Some of the bags of jewels almost fell upon Kay, who trembled in every limb lest he should be seen. "Oh, what shall I do?" Kay thought. "He's bound to see me. Shall I twiddle the knob and go home? It's no good going to the inspector. He simply will not believe the things I tell him, and I must stay here to learn more of this place if I am to rescue the others." He lay still, hoping that Abner would not see, and Abner was intent on the jewels. "Rubies," he said, "emeralds, pearls, diamonds, my own sapphires. There, I knew I'd forgotten something. The cat's eyes. I do not value these silly stones myself, but those Eastern kings think the world of them and pay just what one asks. Well," he said, "we have done quite well in the cat's eyes. Here we are." He took some packages from a shelf, removed some of the packages already packed, and began to restow the box. "No," he said when he finished, "even now it won't do. I must get some amethysts in." He pitched out some of the packages, poured loose amethysts into the box, shook the box to make them settle down, and then snatched the packages lying on the floor and crammed them in on the top. In a hurry he picked up Kay with one of the packages, not noticing, pitched him in with the package into the box, jammed him down tight so that Kay's bones were nearly squashed, and then squeezed him fast with a couple of packages, and then he shut the lid, sat on it to make it close, locked it, passed a chain round the outside of it, apparently secured the chain with a padlock, and then lifted it with a jerk and banged it down on the table with a jolt, so that Kay was shaken, squeezed, banged, bruised and battered, as though the coals had been delivered on top of him. By kicking and struggling, Kay managed to reach the top of the heap, so he could breathe what little air there was. "This is enough for me," he muttered. "I will go home." Struggling hard, he contrived to move his arms, and felt in his pocket for the box. But alas, it was no longer there. It must have been jolted out as he struggled amongst the jewel bags. The precious box was gone, and he was, no bigger than a mouse, perhaps 40 miles from home, in a strong room in a prison in the rock, padlocked and chained within a locked iron box, which was perhaps soon to be carried to some distant land. He heard Abner putting things down on the table beside him. He heard a cork drawn, and then he heard Abner apparently cracking walnuts, and there came the glug-glug of something poured from the bottle. He heard Abner's teeth crunching nuts, and his lips smacking over his drink. "A very pretty little port," Abner was saying. "A little lacking in body, but a very pleasant afternoon drink." Kay heard the glug-glug repeated more than once, and then Abner picked up the deed box from the table and shook it. "Ah," he said, "not many people shake £500,000 of jewels at one go. Now soon I shall be aboard the submarine, speeding through the billows. This day next week, instead of a foot of snow, there will be tropical island, and instead of my pouncer there will be peace, and instead of this brotherhood I shall have that box of the past and enter it at will. Oh, happy Abner! And think of the benefits that I have conferred, the stimulus that I have given the jewel trade. Half the noble families of England, you may say of Europe, have had yet to buy new jewels because of me. And think of the impetus that this has given to the mining industry. Many black and brown creatures in remote parts of the world are munching on a banana content in full employment, when, but for little Abner, they might be sitting in the sun doing nothing and starving. Now very likely they can go to the cinema, then to the benefit I conferred upon the church. All the clergy of the diocese who have perhaps been embittered years, thinking they would never get promotion. What is the clerical way, by the way? Not promotion, not transferment, preferment. Now, at one swoop, the curate becomes a rector, the rector a canon, and the canon an archdeacon, the archdeacon a dean, and the dean the bishop. Think, too, what I do to the tourist industry. Thousands will come to Tatchester to see the scene of the recent outrages. Hotels will prosper, tea rooms will enlarge their premises, the Master of Masons of Tatchester will open an enormous sum of money by the public subscription in order that they may put up a memorial to the martyred clergy. Tatchester, represented as something between Britannia and, shall we say, Miss Garbo, will be seen weeping in a recumbent position, or perhaps clinging to the foot of a big stone cross. In my retirement, in the peaceful island, I will think, and I will send them some designs, the tears of for Tatchester for the missing bish. When the memorial is unveiled, of course, there too, Tatchester will benefit through me. A general holiday, the Lord Lieutenant of the county, yeomanry parading, a platform in the cathedral precincts, and the Tatchester Light Infantry brass band. And this romantic pile here will all water underneath and charred ashes above. I will open the sluices now. I have emptied 6 gallons of petrol in the older parts of the house downstairs where the wood is the driest. A wax vesta on my return from Tatchester will suffice for that. With what splendour shall I pass from here, gurgling flood deep down in the caves and a roaring bonfire above. Having finished this speech, Abner said, "Now come along." His rest and refreshment had put him into a merrier mood, and Kay heard him open the strong-room door, which he slammed to behind him. He set out walking fast, swinging the deed-box to and fro, and singing light-heartedly. Each swing drove hard knobs in the bags in some parts of poor Kay, who rolled this way and that, out of breath, banged, bruised, and almost suffocated, and forced to lie face downwards with arms outstretched to keep him from being shaken under the bags. And that concludes the end of chapter 11. Oh, will Kay get out of the strong box? Will he be able to rescue them, or will Abner get there and turn the sluices on and end Christmas for everybody? I guess we're going to have to wait until tomorrow to find out.